What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to give you a good overview of things that you need to know for this upcoming week that could cause a little bit more volatility within Lucid, go over some updated data points, and tie it all together with some technical analysis and give you my price prediction, where I see things going by the tail end of the week. Before I get into any of that though, making sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe is always greatly appreciated. With that though, let's get right to it. So as far as economic data coming out, there's only 2 days that you really need to watch for, and one of which is Wednesday, so non-farm payroll. And like I've always been a very strong advocate of consumers, generally speaking, with the exception of the recent retail sales numbers, the economic data has been very strong. So Wednesday will definitely be a good telltale sign of that if that does continue. So ADP, non-farm employment change. In general though, it is forecasted to go up. So the previous number was 128,000, forecasted to be 200,000. So that's definitely a nice change of events, because generally speaking, all the other forecasts have been lower. So seeing something going up is definitely a good sign. And then capping it off is going to be on Friday. So there is also a lot of different things on that day, but once again, it is consumer related, so it is non-farm payroll. So in general, that aspect is supposed to be a lot lower. So you can see previous number was 528,000. The forecast is 285,000. So definitely a lot lower in that regard. So in reality, those might cause a little bit more volatility within the broader market and obviously through Lucid as well. But outside of that though, I don't think there's any known catalyst for Lucid coming out this week that could ultimately give it a nice boost up. But then again, Lucid's not really that transparent. So whenever they do come out with the news, with the exception of the Sapphire, it's just random. So in general, we just have to look forward to that. But Bear's Workshop has been doing a very good job, and Lucid Insider did have a good kind of a blog where it lays out exactly all of the screenshots of ultimately how much vehicles are going in and out. So you definitely do see a nice little bump up in production. Still not to where I would expect us to be, but still, generally speaking, it is good. So hopefully that does continue through Bear's flyovers this week. But outside of that though, I do anticipate still some fear, most likely at the beginning of the week, following and piggybacking off of what Powell did say. So he did say a lot of red alert kind of scenarios, if you ask me. Keep in mind though, I'm not a financial advisor or anything, just a very big Lucid fan, and generally speaking, I like to give the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the funny thing is, I did do a video today on hypothetically how there was a rumor about Lucid knowing prematurely that they could only potentially do around 5,000 vehicles by the end of the year. I did do a video on that because, like I always say, I like to give the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's really funny when it does come out to be ugly, it brings out the ugly side also in people. But beside that though, I think there is a lot of good things coming forward. And there was an article that was posted today, and I feel that this is a very good representation of a lot of what investors feel. So I'm just going to quickly show you this. So it goes over the pros and cons of Lucid as of right now. So the pros, it does list it as massive market opportunity and elevated demand, which in general, I think that's one of the biggest factors why I still cover Lucid, why I still maintain my position in Lucid, because I know long term it's going to do a lot of good things. I always say that all the time. Short term, it does suck. It sucks a lot, to be honest. But long term is where you're going to make substantial amount of money. So I think you just need to take a step back and realize that. And then outside of that, it just talks on the cons. But I think there is a couple more pros that we could add. Obviously, the tech component of that is not necessarily just the elevated demand. It's just the technology as well. So the technology, when it comes down to Lucid, is bar none. It's completely out of this world. It's next level. So I think that's one of the biggest factors why a lot of people do really like Lucid. But like I said, outside of that, though, it does have the cons as stiff competition, so that could be a little bit more of a gray area depending on what kind of stage you're looking at, and monstrous losses, which I kind of disagree with. It's making improvement quarter over quarter. And then finally, production woes, which I think in general a lot of us already tentatively knew that. So let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. But personally, I feel outside of the fear is just going to piggyback and look at the technicals, which I'm a very big fan of. Looking at the actual technicals though, I have the 50, 100, 200-day moving averages, Bollinger Bands, RSI, stochastic, and momentum. So based on, actually, even though the sell-off did occur on Friday, stochastic is still at 12, so very oversold, and yet there's still is that deviation. So black line above the red still showing that there wants to be a bullish trend, which is a very good thing. And looking at momentum, you can tell the number of buyers has been going down basically since our earnings. And keep in mind, this momentum indicator is a very good telltale sign of what retailers are actually doing. So number of retailers are clearly just very fearful about the broader market and just getting out of Lucid. On the contrary though, I've been bringing up a lot of updates based on the dark pool, secondary market. A lot of institutions still continuously buy. So that's definitely a very good sign, especially for Lucid. Looking at RSI, it's at 39, so fairly neutral. It is getting a little bit low in reality, which is a very good thing. And on the actual chart, still lower percentile of the Bollinger Band, so a little bit more no man's land. And I'm going to tie that in on potentially where we might be going. But first, I just want to give you a quick update on some short information because I like to use them as a fairly good benchmark as well. So based on Friday, they did close out 316,000 shares, which in general, despite the massive red day, that could be seen as a very bullish sign. But outside of that, though, short score is 86.26. The higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening. Utilization is still 100%, and cost to borrow is 10.96, which, like I always say, cost to borrow has been going down, and cost to borrow and short interest are typically inverse. So the fact that both are going down is another good bullish sign. And like I said, when it comes down to a lot of the fear in market, you have to look behind the scenes and what is exactly happening. And like I always say, I like to look at the short interest as a very good benchmark. So with that, let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. Also, let me know before I give you my price prediction where you personally feel things might be going by the tail end of the week. But ultimately, based on everything and looking at the Fibonacci as well, still 1879 is that central pivot point, but currently trading between the S2 and the S1. So in reality, I think the S2 is going to hold up. But it is most likely going to be tested this week. Personally, I think 1544 is going to be the low. On the high end for this week, it could be most likely around 1650, depending on what potentially comes out. Like I said, there is two saving graces that potentially could save the market, and that is coming out on Wednesday and also on Friday, because if consumer data does show to be very strong, then that's going to rejuvenate the broader market. That's my own 2 cents, and like I said, this is only for entertainment purposes, so make sure you do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But with all of that, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, and subscribe is always greatly appreciated. And with that said, let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.